Madam Chair, in the last Congress, there was a proposal with respect to the IPP obligations to resort to financial engineering in order to pre-terminate these IPP obligations that would amount to about $100 billion over so many years, accelerate the payment. So instead of accepting these IPP obligations over the years, maybe the government could have renegotiated this, accelerate the payment, pre-terminate, and result in a much lower obligation to part of the government. In other words, refinance. This was the proposal that happened. I don't know whether this was considered by the PSALM. Because if we look at the total IPP obligations, we could have acquired so many power plants already. The computation at that time was almost about 600 to 1,000 megawatts of new power plants with the IPP obligations. That is my first question, Madam Chair.
Yes, please. Sir, well, if I can remember, what happened then was that PSALM, I think way back around 2000, had started the renegotiation of the IPP contracts. Again, this pursuant to this additional mandate we gave. But what I can recall, sir, because our principals are no longer here, is that one of the reasons why pretermination was at the time, very difficult to achieve is that under each of the IPP contracts, there is a buyout clause. If we were to pre-terminate, the buyout clause would kick in, and if each of the buyout clause would be computed, rather if each of the buyout provisions or the costs would be computed, I think it's going to be a very horrendous amount, such that the negotiators at that point in time did no longer consider the pre-termination of the IPP contracts, but rather they negotiated these IPP contracts in accordance with what they call avoided cost.
Now, precisely, if I may comment, Madam Chair, I'm not asking a question. That's the purpose of renegotiation. Renegotiate the existing clauses of the contracts and not just accept them. The idea is to have maybe some kind of a jumbo loan that can finance the buyout, but at a much lower price. The IPP operators will benefit from this by having their collections accelerated upfront instead of waiting, let's say if we're looking at 2001, instead of waiting for 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008 to collect the IPP obligations. They'll have their money already upfront. And the government would benefit by lowering the overall obligation through some kind of a jumbo loan as a means of refinancing this. But anyway, this is something that I think the government can continue looking at. The next question I have, Madam Chair, and is with respect to the interest rate. The interest rate, it is true, of the dollar went up from 2001 to 2004, but it went down starting at 2004. This should have resulted in lower obligations, because you keep on talking about interest expense of new borrowings. But actually, if you look at the history of dollar interest rates, it actually went down starting in 2004. And then if you look at you mentioned also depreciation of the peso. This is point number 7 in one of your slides here. But actually, the peso appreciated starting in 2005. It was 55 to 1 in 2005. In 2006, it went down to 51.3. In 2007 to 46.14. 2008, 44.4. And 2010, yesterday, it broke the 43 to 1 level. And that should have generated some savings on the part of PSALM, Madam Chair. I don't know why you continue talking on the depreciation of the peso when this is not so, starting in 2005.
Sir, I can just recall the presentation. That was actually recognized, and in fact, that was the reason why NPC enjoyed a positive income, but it was a non-cash income, sir. So what happened was that eventually the ERC now ordered us, as a result of that positive income, the ERC now ordered NAPOCOR to refund. So that refund, sir, now was one of the reasons why PSALM now had to borrow again. So the refund was a result of the DAA, sir, the deferred accounting adjustments, which would have to be done as a result of the improvement of the exchange rate.
Well, the reason I made that comment, Madam Chair, is because it's still here. They still cite the depreciation of the peso as one of the major drivers for the historical movement of NPC's financial obligations, but that was true only up to 2005. But from 2005 to now, that is not anymore applicable, and therefore, it would not be correct to keep on citing that, Madam Chair. And my final comment, I'm not asking for an answer, is the issue on the bonuses, the salaries, overtime, consultancy fees of PSALM amounting to 207.3 million pesos, which I understand is still being used as part of the obligations of PSALM, as part of the stranded costs. Perhaps the PSALM can give this committee a written explanation on this, not now, but a written explanation as to why we should include this as part of the stranded costs, which I understand is not provided for in the EPIRA, Madam Chair. I think this committee deserves a written response from PSALM on this matter. Thank you, Madam Chair.
May we ask you to oblige with the request and give